Let's test cheap versus expensive duct tape. So starting with our stickiness test, and we can see that expensive actually is worse than cheap. It doesn't hold on as long and it doesn't stick to the wood as easily. Now moving on to our tape strength test, and again expensive does worse, breaking a lot quicker than cheap does, but that does mean it'll be easier to tear. Now moving on to our run test, and they both performed relatively equally. The hole in the middle is about the same size on both of them. We can confirm the tape stickiness with our leg wax test, and you can see there's more hairs on cheap than there are on expensive. This brings us to our waterproof test, and we can see that again they both perform relatively equally, although interestingly cheap itself isn't actually waterproof. A small amount of water was coming through the tape. Getting a little more scientific, we can take a look at our rough material tape lift test, and again cheap lifts a bit more than expensive does. And lastly, moving on to our tape loudness test, expensive is a fair bit louder than cheap, maxing out at over 90 decibels. So overall, cheap wins. Very cool.